Fuzz for Firelight.
Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Happy Salads. Let's go through all of the E3 2016 press conferences and review what the experience was like for everyone in those theatres.
I don't know about an experience, it's more like...
Yeah, no one said the word experience, did they? Like not in the sort of Microsofty way.
Well, I'm sure someone probably said it.
Yeah, someone must have said it. But VR experience.
That is actually, I guess they probably did say experience several times.
Experience.
And
but still not in the way that Microsoft said it.
No, not in the Microsoft way. No.
Experience.
No new Xbox.
Isn't that what XP stood for? Experience.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, not even in the way that they used to talk about the NXE and stuff
new
like
Xbox
that.
experience.
New Xbox experience.
Now it's time for the Ubisoft press conference. Traditionally, the strangest of experiences when it comes to press conferences.
Well, you know what? It wasn't actually that bad or that crazy this year. It was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Fun.
But actually, it felt like a little more professional. I don't know.
Well... Yeah, I think maybe they almost turned too hard the other direction in some cases.
Maybe.
Where they tried to do like weird couch interviews that went on for far too long and weren't that interesting.
Sure, but Aisha Tyler was way more bearable than normal.
She's back.
Yeah, she's back again for like, what is it, the 4th year in a row now?
Something like that.
Now we back.
And slightly less weird phrases that made the room go confused for a second. No girl would.
No, she specifically mentioned that.
Well, but she referenced herself in
yeah, exactly, that's the problem. Yeah. Not even new material, just reuse the old stuff again.
Sort of to make fun of yourself, I suppose, is kind of okay. But
yes, but you don't... It's like, you shouldn't remind people of that.
I guess not. There was no Mr. Caffeine references.
No.
In Ubi's 30th
Unless you
birthday.
Thing is, she's good in Archer, but she's the straight man or whatever.
Yeah.
She's not the funny one or whatever.
Indeed. She plays it cool.
She's good at that.
How about some Just Dance?
How about weird, like... It was so dumb. It was like...
Practically nothing to do with the game at all, other than that white outline dude for a split second.
Yeah, and like, played like a whole shit ton of Queen for ages. And then just really abruptly, just the music just stops, and then it's like, now it's time to talk about mass shootings.
Yeah.
Like, entirely appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone did it at the start of their press conference, which is good.
Yeah, I suppose we didn't really mention that, did we? Yeah, they had to call out, it's like, hey, that thing in Florida just kind of happened.
I guess Freddie Mercury was gay and
maybe.
died of AIDS.
Oh, what, so you reckon they...
No, I don't think they did.
And they can't have put that together at the last minute, right?
I think it was just a coincidence, but then also...
Then again, they did find as many costumes as they possibly could, right? Like, they could have just gone down to, like, some LA...
Yeah, but the costumes were, like, relative to the video. It was like...
Giraffe Man?
Giraffe was... And there's an elephant and stuff.
I wasn't really watching the video.
No.
Venice.
But, when you're talking about mass shootings and there's a man in a giraffe costume crouched in front of you, it kind of takes the impact out.
It felt doubly worse, because I'm sure there was a girl in a flower costume or something right next to Aisha Tyler, and she's sort of doing, obviously, the end of dance smiley face.
Yeah, she's doing the pose smile.
And then there's that awkward moment where she realises what's being said, and she's like, I'm not sure if I should smile or not. And sort of,
I need to become sad subtly, so now this is I'm transitioning.
I noticed. It was just, it was quite odd
to do these things.
It's like that's how they wanted to open it, and they couldn't open it without someone saying something, so they just went for it and then went straight into it. And it's,
I mean, there probably wasn't many better times to talk about it. You can't talk about it in the vicinity of South Park. You can't talk about it in the vicinity of Watch Dogs 2.
No, I think they should have done it with maybe a voiceover before something started.
Sure.
Just have ominous voice, sort of say
something.
The condolences and all that.
Condolences.
Is that not right?
Close.
It might be better like that.
Pretty close. You offer condolences to those that are
it's just pronunciation. I screwed up my own pronunciation.
Condolences.
It's the same word. It doesn't matter.
Condolences.
Am I doing it the American way?
Maybe that. I don't know if they say C's. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway. And surprisingly, like, sort of...
Mike and... Oh, no, I suppose you're right. Yeah, Mike and... yeah, no, okay. I'm with you.
Sort of accidentally, they, I guess, announced the first NX game.
Kinda, yeah.
Which was?
Just Dance. As
Oh.
apparently coming to all platforms, including Nintendo NX, was the wording used.
How does Just Dance work with a camera?
Badly.
Yeah, it sort of doesn't.
It's
basically.
just, it's like shaking the Wii remote.
Yeah, you hold a Wii remote and it sort of vaguely follows what motion they expect that hand to do. The rest of you doesn't matter.
So, motion controls for NX confirmed?
I guess. Or it's still
Backwards
compatible with the Wii remote.
Wii remotes, probably.
Okay.
I mean,
that worked out
presumably,
great for the Wii U, didn't it?
Well, I mean, it has full on...
It's kind of important.
Well, it has
they
full
needed
on...
a lot of controllers.
Well, it has full on Wii backwards compatibility, doesn't it? But no one really used...
I mean,
the Wii remotes
logically, you have
game.
to assume that the NX is going to be backwards compatible with the Wii U if they want to keep their traditional Nintendo trend of supporting the previous.
Sure, and maybe does that mean that if it's backwards compatible with the Wii U, the Wii mode in the Wii U is still present?
Well, that would be really weird.
Yeah,
I thought they might make a
Inception
clean
related.
break because it'll be so different with all the mobile ability of it. That's supposed
Yeah,
to
but we're
work.
not.
But then we've talked about this before. I'm not 100% sure it will be that different, right? Like a Nintendo DS-like platform is basically what the gamepad could do.
Yeah, sure.
And there's certain hints in the Nintendo stuff later that suggest certain things about the NX.
Okay, we'll come to that.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, first NX game confirmed. Well, other than I guess we knew Zelda was coming to NX.
Sure.
Yeah.
First non-Nintendo.
Yeah, first third-party NX game. There we go. Shame it's Just Dance.
Yeah.
But it's like all, like they specifically said all platforms as well. It's coming to everything. Like their mobile
It's like, how does it
service.
even work on the other platforms?
Oh yeah, because you can't.
They don't have motion controls.
Sure, you can't see the screen if you're playing the mobile version. Don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe it's just like, at that point, it's just like a pedometer. It just counts how much you jiggle. Just move around a bunch, it's fine.
So there was that.
Yep.
I'm glad they didn't get a celebrity out. We didn't have a random performance this year. So then we got some Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I'm sure Dan was a little bit hyped about.
I like that trailer and I like the idea of it, but having seen some gameplay, which I guess they showed, I mean, they did that thing of,
Drones.
we were talking about the cleverness of them doing YouTubers for the Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
What was it called?
And this time...
They did a shit version of
Well,
This time they did all the fakest TeamSpeak ever.
Which is very annoying.
I wasn't 100%. It took me a while to work out if this was like game speak and like between the characters, but then it's like no. Actually, this is them just role playing over mics.
Yep, real badly.
It was sort of better than most attempts because they went full role playing and not full we're playing a game, which somehow worked a bit better, I thought.
From marginally, except, they still there's just things that normal people playing games don't react to. You don't say, oh shit, there's 3 tangos in front of me.
No,
you say,
obviously.
There's 3 dudes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But
they don't say like affirmative to each other.
No.
But at the same time, if you're going to do that whole military thing, then do it that way and roleplay it that way, and then have it because it looks totally random. Like, oh, I happen to be on this hill behind this facility or whatever. It's like, and it was really funny how they kept talking about the name of the character in the game who they were going after. Oh, we're after El Cuzaloco or whatever his name is.
He's a real tough
He's a real tough dude. I heard he's a real tough dude. Quick, we better team up in order to take him down.
Well, they gave him a name as well, don't they? Like the chemist or something.
Blender or something.
Blender.
He melts people.
No, he was some kind of janitor or something. Wasn't he?
Janitor.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, I'll give it a fair shake, but I wasn't impressed by the gameplay.
Well,
it looked a bit garish as well.
A little bit. I thought like my first note about it here just says America. Like that it's a little bit America.
They always
waging
do that,
war
though.
against the Mexicans.
But they've always done that in the Tom Clancy franchise. Because
Sure.
it's always really weird because they're never
America.
Americans who make the games. They're always like, Ubisoft. So always like French or like
Yeah.
Canadian or something. So that's always been true throughout like Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon and stuff. But it's always been a bit weirdly America in a kind of America way.
Which it's taken me a little while to decode what my next note actually means. But it's like there's a way like they were placing like how the ghosts in Mexico kind of are reminded me a little bit of how the Russians put people in Ukraine, right? That whole like, oh, we put like people in the Ukraine like stealthily to cause chaos.
I mean, that would be cool.
Disrupts the country, and it's like that's exactly what we're doing in Wildlands.
If it was a conspiracy, and it was that would be cool. If it was like evil America, if that's the twist. The film that
although we're still stopping a guy who's melting bodies, I suppose. But,
the film that would inspire that whole thing is there's the Clear and Present Danger, right? That's Tom Clancy novel, and that was set in South America and it was a secret war on drugs, wasn't it? There's a whole thing about...
I don't know about it.
It was a cool film. There was a sequence where they used a special bomb. They flew off an aircraft carrier and used a bomb that was made out of, like, plant material or something. So,
drug bomb.
And they hit a drug dealer's truck with it to make it look like it was a car bomb in the truck, but it was actually a bomb dropped from a plane by the US military or whatever. And
somehow being made of plant matter makes that happen.
Well, it was cellulose or something, so it was supposed to be... There was no shrapnel from the bomb or something.
Just a bunch of plant matter lying around. It's completely non-suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was in a jungle or something, or whatever. Not a jungle.
I guess the idea is there would be no identifiable marks.
Yeah, you couldn't tell it was done by the US military. But then he figured it out somehow.
Should have made an
Jack
ice
Ryan.
bomb.
It was Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan. Anyway, I think that's the kind of inspiration, and I'd like a game based on that whole idea. But that was a murky world of, like, America not necessarily the bad guy, and it doesn't seem that way at all in this.
Well, this seems pretty self-explanatory. It's just like the drug cartels became big enough to basically be in control of the whole country.
I mean, they sort of are in some places.
Well, sure,
maybe
but not the whole country.
In Mexico, although this is set in, like, Colombia, I think. Isn't it? Also, or Bogota, isn't it?
No, it's Bolivia.
Bolivia, okay. Sorry, Bogota's a city, isn't it?
Yeah.
In
I don't know where.
Fuck. Bolivia, yeah. Bogota. Anyway, yeah.
It had a B in it. It'll do. So they claim this to be their largest open world yet.
Which is fairly severe coming from Ubisoft with their million open worlds.
Which then immediately made me ask, is there any towers?
Yes, I would assume there probably is. Or
so
just
do I
like
need to climb up a tower to clear the fog of war from
high mountains.
Wow,
Yeah.
that probably means Zelda, so anyway.
I did notice that, a couple of dumb things from that video as well, other than the voiceovers, which I have put in here, like role-playing VO. But my notes also say there's a moment where they go, alright, let's do this stealthily. Immediately fires an unsilenced gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's infiltrating a place with other dudes. That's not even like the last dude.
No, it's like the first guy.
I mean, honestly, it just makes me think, how cool would it be if Metal Gear Solid 5 could be cooperative? Or
yeah, actually.
Rather than this thing.
Yeah. I suppose in some ways it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine how cool that would be if you could go in as two different snakes into or whatever.
Twin snakes. And I also noticed that the classic drone tagging from Advanced
every
Warfare
game with drones at the moment
seems to be back, but they put the diamonds on, right? The cool, the Ghost Recon UI diamond.
Gonna have the diamonds.
Yeah. And it's got a release date of March 7th, 2017. So I think that's a little later than I think we were expecting, but I think a lot of games are actually that sort of that little bit later than I think anyone was expecting.
Yeah, like, especially considering like we saw a lot of these games a year ago.
Yeah,
it's like normally they don't get shown until they're quite close to release, but it seems like a bit longer than usual this time.
So then we had South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
We had a goddamn million years of interview.
Yeah, there was a little long a segment, but they started like. I like how they tried to tease it out as, "Hey, we made a Watch Dogs game." Oh no, wait, it's South Park.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've done that before.
They have done that
because
before.
they have.
They parodied whatever Ubisoft
did last year.
right now. Yeah.
So this time around, it's parodying superhero films and the MCU specifically.
Yes, and I like that they showed basically the core premise sequence, and that like the only reason they're falling apart. Civil War style is because they don't agree with Cartman's movie plan.
Yeah, it's all about what phases you'll do.
It's like, we've skipped ahead to Civil War already.
Yeah.
We haven't had any of the prequel films.
My notes are particularly great for this whole South Park session. My notes just say, time for interview, followed by then followed by pretty brutal in quotes.
Pretty brutal. What, you mean like the combat you're talking about?
I think it was
like...
just something that the interviewer guy said.
Okay.
It's like pretty brutal. And then he also mispronounced exciting news as exciting nudes.
He did,
which was pretty funny and also kind of appropriate.
Exciting nudes.
And then at the end, when Aisha turned back up, she said, in a way that, like, I don't know whether she was specifically talking about this or whether she was trying to reference something else, but she was like, you probably fell asleep. It was like, yes, I thought that was quite boring interview, actually.
I don't know, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they are funny guys, just naturally. I thought, like, the weak link in that whole thing was the fact that they had to have the developer from Obsidian or whoever it is that makes that.
And also that they, for some reason, decided to keep cutting back and forth between, like, 10 seconds of interview and then gameplay, and then another little bit of interview and then gameplay. It's like, it didn't flow at all.
Yeah, I want to see more of how that combat system works, because it's completely different from how the last game functioned. It's like the last game was like basically following standard RPG turn-based tropes.
Yeah.
Whereas this one seems a little more active, a little more positional. There's more going on.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced tropes.
Sort of. Not quite that complex, obviously.
No, obviously.
And how the actual RPG, them wandering about the world elements of the game function, if they've changed those. It'll be interesting, because it looks... The thing is it looks so similar to the last game, because they nailed the South Park look with the last game.
Yeah.
It's like, it's gonna... I feel like it has to be mechanically different this time round. And they seem to be doing some of that. So that's a good sign. If you pick this up, if you buy a copy of this, you'll get Stick of Truth for free. So, incentive, I guess. 2 for the price of 1 if you didn't play Stick of Truth already. And you can play Stick of Truth right now if you pre-order. So, they thought about that a little bit, I guess. December 6th this year. A game coming out this year, guys. Amazing. So then the Division, obviously they had to talk about the underground stuff again.
And the other.
And hint at what the other DLC is by name. Yeah.
And also there was the random guy on stage is like talking to the guy in the audience. Like, you get... I didn't really hear what he was saying. He was still like, you get a copy of the thing. Good for you, Chad.
Yeah.
Talking to some random guy. And that turns off again later.
Chad or Chad or...
Yeah, it sounded like Chad. It's like, good for you, Chad. You get a copy.
He must have said something. Must have been a woo or something. Woo, yeah. You get a copy. And then I guess this is where Project Eagle, what it became.
Well, yeah, it's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
You have to guess.
Well, I don't think...
They all put on VR headsets.
It's not quite what I had in mind.
No.
So... Project Eagle, which showed last year as, hey, we're making a VR game, and it basically just showed an eagle flying through what looked like the Assassin's Creed Paris.
Except fucked up.
Except a little bit naturized. So first things first, that got stylized a lot, so it's now a bit more flat-shaded than how we originally saw it.
Yeah. I don't remember it being that detailed originally.
I thought it was quite, like, as I say, like, looks like it was running in the Assassin's Creed engine. It's still VR, but it's PvP flying capture the flag.
Yep.
Now, with eagles that shoot.
Yep.
Shoot what?
Shoot eagle
Calls.
They just go, wah! And then it fires like a sound wave, basically.
A shockwave sound ring. It's like the eagles that blow high-speed smoke rings.
Which sounds really dumb when you've got 6 eagles just going...
Yeah, my note here basically says, needs more eagle noises.
I don't think eagles make that call noise that often, do they?
No.
Not to fight each other.
It's like, it kind of looked like it might be fun, but it also looks like it's going to be a tiny, tiny game.
Well, and it's in VR, and you need like 6 people with VR setups to play it.
Yeah.
So good luck having enough friends to do that.
Well, that leads nicely onto the next thing, because there's not a great deal to talk about that other than Palmer Luckey was well into winning.
Yep. And wouldn't shut up, as he tends not to.
Really didn't want to shut up. So the next thing they showed is both simultaneously awesome and impossible.
Yep.
So they're basically... Do you know of Artemis?
No? Artemis?
Artemis was a multiplayer Starship Bridge simulator.
Oh, right, okay.
Where, everyone would have, I don't know what devices you used,
Well,
maybe
I think you
iPads
just use
or
laptops
laptops or
at some
something like
point.
that, but everyone would take on a role and then you'd basically role play being members of the crew of this starship. So Ubisoft have gone and made this for VR with the Star Trek license,
Okay, sweet.
which sounds amazing,
Obviously.
up to the point where you think, how on earth is this actually going to function in reality?
Was the same-
4 people in the same room.
No, they're not going to
VR
be in the same
headsets?
room. They're going to be on the internet on TeamSpeak. That's
I know.
how it's going to function in reality.
But that's not nearly as good, right?
But they could
That's-
be in the same room if...
if you set it up.
If you had 4
Yeah.
PCs,
If all one of these VR
well, if
arcades
there's... Yeah, the arcades.
is a thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like an awesome concept. But yeah, I think like being in the same room.
it doesn't matter, does it?
I don't know.
It's VR. You don't have to be in the same room because you just look over and there's a model.
Maybe not. And I guess there's like they're modeling because it's like it's VR touch and stuff as well. It's not like I guess they're modeling your hands and head and things.
I'm more like what you actually do as the dude at the weapons station or the
Well, apparently you press giant Fisher Price buttons by the looks of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It's like
So
turn the shields up to 1 of 5 options.
So it's like a giant VR version of Space Team.
Yep, basically.
Maybe. Yeah. It did seem like there was a reasonable amount going on. Like they had to it's all in. You can't just like jump out of the bridge and see what's
No.
going on around you. You've got to use what information you're provided with to.
Do you have to
Figure
rotate
out
the
what to
shield
do.
frequencies? Or...
Probably.
Probably. There's good. Yeah.
You probably have to turn on the deflector dish.
Right. A tachyon beam.
But obviously they couldn't have demoed any of this without getting old
bunch of
Star
Star
Trek
Trek.
cast members to do it. So what is it? The Geordie LaForge's
Seriously?
actor was doing it.
And
And
Seven
the
of
girl,
Nine.
7 of
LeVar
9.
Burton.
Yeah.
What's her name? Jerry
Jerry something.
Ryan?
Starts with an H, doesn't it? But I just keep thinking of Halliwell and that's not it.
Isn't she in some kind of crime drama now?
Yeah.
That I've actually seen quite a bit of, and I can't remember the name of. The Body of Proof?
Yeah.
Is it? Something like that? Yeah. A pathology thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some other guy, and some other guy.
Well, one of them was presumably a
Oh,
developer.
yeah, one of them might have been a dev, and one of them I think is from whatever the last Star Trek thing is.
What, Enterprise?
No, it had some other name. One I'd never heard of before, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the latest film, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. And then they got Geordie LaForge on stage to
do another interview about the thing that you just saw.
yeah, which again went on for way too long. And just a little bit, yeah, it's amazing. I got really back in the zone. It was like
Yes, he was like,
He wasn't even on the bridge in the freaking show.
No.
He was in engineering doing a stupid barrel roll under the under the closing doors.
but technically in the Star Wars universe, it's like, no matter where you are on the ship, you're basically looking at the same thing. It's
guess.
a black screen with
Yeah,
some
yeah.
icons on it.
You're always looking at LCARs, aren't you? But, yeah. So that
But he's
happened.
monitoring the warp core.
Whatever that means.
Womp.
Look at some diagrams.
Anyone have any interest in For Honor?
You mean for water?
For water? What do you mean for water?
That's what the whole thing is about. That video where like the
Oh,
world
yes.
gets fucked up and then they basically fight over resources, which is signified by a tiny spring of fresh water
And then they forget why they're fighting and just keep fighting.
forever.
Propagated by some woman.
Yep. Some kind of story mode.
For 1,000 years,
Yep.
somehow. I don't know, that game looks
Grappling
kind...
hooks.
I think I like the... Yeah, it had grappling hooks. I think I like the concept of that game and like the concept... Like, there's some... It seemed like a bit of a rock, paper, scissors fight action.
Well, yeah, it seems like it's
But-
not actually as complicated as it initially seems.
No.
Like, it's not as cool as you think it is. It's just like left, right, or forwards.
It does a good job of scale. I think, like, if you look back at when
Sure.
they looked back at the battlefield and all that stuff was going on, it's like that looked cool. I think it visually looks nice, but yeah, I'm not too sure about the gameplay this way. It may be fun, like maybe that simple psyching out rock paper scissors plan has a draw to it, but I'm not entirely. I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know.
No.
And the fact that it was just ended in one of those fights, like you've been fighting all the way up to it, and then it's like, here's a boss. Oh wait, you kill it in exactly the same way.
Well, he takes marginally more hits.
Yeah, bit of an anticlimax. A bit of a dragon head snake tail.
You know, that might not have actually been the end boss of that level. It might have just been a primary boss, because it wasn't exactly long.
I guess not. D-Day for Vikings.
Yep, pretty much.
February 14th, Valentine's Day next year. Had to make a joke about that.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make any sense, in any case.
What, the fact that it's coming out on February 14th and the fact that they made a joke about that?
Yeah, because it's like, it's not relevant in any way, so making a joke about it also is irrelevant. It's like,
because you can. Like, perhaps they should have moved the date.
I mean, the only, like, relevance you can make is because they're constantly fighting, and Valentine's Day is about love, and it's like, it's the opposite. Comedy.
Yeah. Summed up. Did you want any more Grow Home after playing and completing Grow Home?
I mean, more but not the same, sure.
So how do you feel about Grow Up?
It could be good. I mean, you know, there's more of it.
I don't know if I want more of that. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it is, but I'm not sure I came away thinking, man, I really hope they do a sequel to this. I want to see, now Reflections kind of had their little experiment. It's like, all right, go experiment again, or get some other Ubisoft team to experiment, see what they come up with. I'm not sure I want more of it. Like, Grow Home was fine in principle, but like now it's bigger. I was kind of done with it when I finished it, right?
Yeah,
I was just
bigger and hopefully with more mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not yet. Maybe if I leave it late again.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I'm definitely not feeling it right now. Also, Grow Up seems like a bad name.
Yep.
Like, Grow Home was such a neat little pun, I think, but...
And, you know, growing up is just what you do all the time anyway.
Yeah.
That's still the whole point of that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not. They can prove me wrong, but I'm not sure I'm on board right now.
Also, they've decided that apparently it has a story now, where it's just the first one. It's you got to get the star seed because we say so.
Because something bad happened when we need it.
Yeah, and then now in this game, it's oh no, the mothership isn't there any longer. Gas. What does that mean for the robot do?
What do we do now? What does Bood?
It's what is his plan now? It's why does he want to still grow plants if not to retrieve the star seeds?
And that guy's accent sounded like he was saying bird instead of bud. It's bird. Bird. Blood Dragon's back, sort of.
This is where Chad reappeared.
Chad did reappear.
Whether the guy on the stage is screw you, Chad.
So, the team who came up with the design aesthetic for Blood Dragon and Red Lynx, the developers of the Trials series, have got together and made a Blood Dragon themed Trials game, which seems amazingly appropriate. They probably should have done that instead of Fusion, right?
Well, not instead of Fusion. Maybe instead of the dumb unicorn thing.
Oh, what Power Max?
Yeah,
yeah, maybe. Or maybe that should have just been in this.
Yeah, I mean that also would make more sense. To have Fusion be still a basic Trials game and put all the weird shit together.
Yeah, but it's now got running and gunning as a mechanic in some levels, and I don't know. I don't know if I want it, but for those that like Trials, that looks like it's the perfect theme for Trials.
It doesn't look it's very long, and it also doesn't look like it's very difficult from what I've seen of it.
But it's also out right now.
Yep.
It came out just immediately.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Surprise game. Here you go. Go buy it. And also my favourite phrase from the, which I'm sure you'll agree with, from the trailer, was space is the place and the action is in your face.
I knew that you'd like face.
Space is the place.
But the action's in your face.
It's not even set in space.
No. he just wanted to say it. So Trials of the Blood Dragon is its actual name. I didn't actually see a blood dragon in it.
It's in there. It's in the 5th level.
Okay.
Blood dragon.
And then they had to do some promo for the Assassin's Creed film.
Yep.
And showed a new trailer that had never before been seen. It's basically this never been seen.
And it wasn't even really a trailer.
It
It was like 50% behind the scenes footage.
Yeah. Although there was some stuff we hadn't seen before, like it's got there's Max Fass, and also there's the Animus is a bit different now.
Yeah, it seems the Animus is like a harness.
Yeah. It's like
so you could actually move like you are in your memories, I guess. And then they record that movement information, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess he still has to basically do the actions that he thinks he's doing, reliving his DNA past.
Are they moving towards a possible future VR Assassin's Creed in like 5 years' time?
Maybe.
Where you can harness yourself somehow into an Omni treadmill.
Into an Omni treadmill.
And a massive robot arm.
Speaking of massive robot arms, not really related to that, it was just something I saw very shortly afterwards. I saw a random internet gif of like, it must be just like a demonstration of fancy robotics. But it's a guy wearing a belt, and there's a little robot arm coming out of it that ends in like a little platform, and it's got a beer on it, and he's dancing, but the robot arm is programmed to keep it perfectly stationary.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like the perfect beer and rest while you're dancing. Little robot arm attached to your waist.
That's cool. Is that like a steady camera mount?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Like something along that lines that they're showing the tech for in a dumb way.
That's pretty awesome.
I saw a tiny little steady cam mount for a GoPro. Someone was like holding a... you can't see this, listeners, but I just moved my hand around and the camera was staying steady.
I think I've seen those.
That's pretty cool.
They look like little seesaws, right?
Yeah. Well, it's multi-axis.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, basically you see it just looks like a big bar, right? There's like a counterweight on one end, and yeah. Yeah, I've seen those, I think. They're kind of weird looking. But I guess they work. That film... It could be okay, because they're doing they're not following the games, right? They're taking the ideas of Assassin's Creed and running with it.
Sure.
I mean, it's still going to be a first. We've had Warcraft now added to the pile of bad video game movies.
I thought the Warcraft reception in general was way more mixed than just to say it's bad.
Apparently
I know
China likes it.
Yeah, I heard some of the critics or some of the fans of Warcraft aren't a fan because it's like exposition followed by more exposition.
Yeah,
with an extra helping of exposition.
Well, I heard...
But in terms of the video game movie like pantheon, it's not too...
No, in terms of that,
it's not unbearable.
In terms of general, like Mark Hamill liked it. Sort of didn't mind it.
I heard rumours that supposedly the Assassin's Creed movie is like more than 60% not stuff inside the Animus, it's the outside stuff, which is maybe making it significantly less cool.
More like future stuff.
Yeah, future stuff and not cool ancient assassins.
So Warcraft has a 32 on Metacritic.
Yeah, but I don't...
Pretty bad.
I've gone off like film reviews almost totally, like because it's just like you need to find the critic with whom your opinions match, and I'm not sure I've found that.
No.
I like listening to Kermode and Movie Bob, but don't get me wrong, but I've not found someone who agrees with my tastes yet. Yeah, I'm not sure you can. So yeah, I don't necessarily trust those.
No one likes butts and faces sufficiently.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of both, but you know, you need more than that to make a film. Well,
maybe
not those kinds of films.
No.
They were talking on the Bombcast about how like just the camera just zooming in on tits and ass and stuff in Japan is just normal and happens on normal TV shows and game shows and stuff. Like it totally ogles, not even like framing their face as well, but directly at their. And then I'm like,
I can't say I really noticed that when I was there.
Weird. But it makes more... I mean, like in Metal Gear, it's like you get introduced to like boss characters, like a bunch of sniper ladies who are about to kill you, and the camera just goes straight for their tits.
Well, starts on the bum.
Yeah, and starts on the arse. Goes straight. There's no like subtlety about it. There's no way that
just rotates to the front. Get a little bit of jiggle in there,
and they're like zombie ladies. They don't look like good. They look uncanny valley. Obviously, they're meant to freak you out.
Yeah,
and yet they still does that. It's so weird.
I can't say I noticed that in like watching Japanese TV.
Okay,
at the times I was watching it anyway.
I don't think there's an excuse anyway, but still.
It must be on channels they don't give access to in hotels. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway, I just thought that was weird. I was like...
I didn't really find much anime on TV either, which I was a little bit disappointed about.
Maybe that's just normal there. How weird. Anyway.
or exaggerated, maybe. Maybe it's a type of filmmaking that's in some spots. I don't know. As I say, didn't come across it. Yeah. It could be alright. I like Fassbender. I like... how do you pronounce her name? Marion Cotillard?
Don't know how to pronounce it, but she's good in those Nolan films, I guess.
And those two have apparently worked before on the last Macbeth
Oh, yeah. That was supposed to be good.
film version, so...
The last one there.
Well,
I know
the last...
The last one.
Not the
Hollywood
film
version.
called The Last Macbeth.
Yeah. Or like the Macbeth series. Of films.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
The last one in the Macbeth franchise.
What's with this franchise? Every time the script's the same.
Well, you could split Macbeth into 3 parts. Probably be quite boring for large portions of it.
It's a 2-hour play.
In this episode, we introduced the character of Mac, and then in the second episode, there's a gender crisis, and she becomes Beth, and then
there's Mac, and then there's Macbeth and Macduff. Which one?
well, that's a good question. Double Mac.
Macbeth. Beware Macduff.
Which one's Big Mac?
Beware the Thane of Cawdor.
The famed corridor.
The Thane of Cawdor. Beware the famed corridor.
That's what it sounded like for a second. The famed corridor. Beware. Watch Dogs 2. So, after all my slight moaning that it wasn't going to have that interesting a story trailer, it didn't have that much of an interesting story trailer. It was just like you're very much a cliched hacktivist story. And
also,
you seem to, worryingly, I think the lead character is going to be a bit of a dick.
Yep. Trying to be cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
But I liked their reveal. Like I went back and watched their reveal trailer properly. Like, you know, that music, whatever it is, the sort of... I couldn't work out if they were saying spaz if you want to, or smash if you want to, whatever that lyric is in that song. But that was quite a cool sort of... More of a music video than a trailer.
Grappling hook.
There's a grappling hook, yeah. And drones are back.
Yep, drones. Lots of drones. Also, you see the bit in the live demo they did where he's standing on that crane.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I going to move this crane? Well, I better use my drone to hack the control panel that I'm staying right next to.
Yeah.
Like, apparently you can't just push a button any longer.
Yeah, I'm right here. I can't just, go boop.
Also, the other funny thing about Watch Dogs 2, stay frosty and delete the cloud.
Nice.
But they were sort of said as jokes, weren't they?
Maybe.
We didn't even talk about the in the Scorpio video, it was like, these are the highest quality pixels. It was absolutely amazing.
I don't remember that was said.
Yeah, there was some really bad stuff. Like, that wasn't it as well. There were like 3 terrible phrases in quick succession. Anyway,
highest
sorry.
quality pixels.
I was like, what?
HDR gaming.
Anyway, Watch Dogs.
I thought that gameplay trailer was okay, actually. It seems like it's a little more to do, a little more interesting than what I've seen of the first game. Again, I'm not going to be the best judge on this, but I'm just a little uncomfortable. Like, something rubs me the wrong way of being... It's the Uncharted effect in some degree, but Uncharted gets away with it, of being the supposed moral high ground of gunning, still shooting dudes.
But he doesn't, though. He
in
tases
the
them.
demo, he tases them, but there are clear shots that have been shown of him running around with assault rifles.
Or maybe that's a choice. Maybe that's like the good guy path is non-lethal.
So I googled it, and apparently Microsoft has removed the line and republished the trailer.
What?
The line was, these are the highest quality pixels that anybody has seen. And they've taken it out of the trailer.
Okay. Who said it is the thing, because they were all like developers, weren't they, most of them?
Yeah.
Because the guy from Bethesda was one of them, right? The lead on Fallout.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but I'm sure we can find out. Anyway, hilarious.
That's quite funny. And Watch Dogs seemed okay. Like, I'm a bit worried it's style over substance again.
And you're going to be stuck playing as an ass for the entire time.
Yeah. He seemed... I'll admit he seemed less of an ass than Aiden Pierce, but...
Well, Aiden Pierce is a different kind of ass.
Yeah, I guess.
It's this guy.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
No idea.
The bald man.
So, Yeah, balding man. Anyway, what's his name, this guy? The black
Marcus
guy?
something.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, most was like impossible set of sunglasses.
I don't even know if it's that impossible.
I don't know. It seemed to detect intent of emotion, and
No, he probably just has like a control panel or like a glove sensor or something where he just twitches a different finger. That's how I do it.
maybe.
What does it turn rose tinted when?
No. It's basically just like a full-on face mask, but he's got like LED eyes, and the eyes change to some kind of
Well, it's like
emoticon. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
to express. But he wears this mask the entire time. Like spoiler alert, probably a twist involving who that guy is.
Probably. Or he's just that guy who always wears that thing.
Maybe. But it's a little weird.
Make me think of the sunglasses in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that if they ever sense that anything dangerous or that's going to cause you anxiety is going to happen, they turn totally black, so you're totally fine. You don't have to deal with it.
Such a good idea. Apart from maybe, I can't see your own death coming.
That's the point. You're going to remain totally chill until the end.
Except for the fact you'll know that when they turn black. It's like,
Yeah, I know.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
There we go. November 15th, release date. And this is the point where, talking about Ubisoft's film teams,
Yep.
Sony...
Apparently they have more than one.
Yeah, Sony Pictures rocked up and were like, hey guys, we're going to fund a Watch Dogs film.
Because it's such a innovative genre.
Oh, I'm sure it'll have Aidan Pearce's iconic cap in it.
Yep.
Iconic.
Well, that's a bad
I
idea.
don't know, when did it change to everyone saying the cap was iconic from the trench coat? Wasn't the trench coat the thing that they physically sold? Or was that... No, wait, that was SX, wasn't it?
Yeah. No.
That's where I was getting confused. He has the iconic trench coat.
It was the
Piers has the cap.
The only reason the cap was supposedly iconic was because it had the Watch Dogs logo on it.
Yes.
Neither of which are iconic in any way.
No. You have to earn that. You can't just say it's iconic. Yeah, so that's happening. A Watch Dogs film. Give it another 4 years, we might see something.
I mean, that's just like such a generic thing
Yeah,
to make a film about.
Yeah, it could be anything, right?
So it's a hacker film.
Yeah.
They've been done since the 80s, and even before hacking made any kind of sense. At least now it sort of makes sense, I
It
guess.
depends what they're going for. Like, there could be some good parkour action sequences if they're going for the Marcus angle, or...
Because
But
they've
the-
just made Assassin's Creed and they already know how to do that.
But chances... I guess. Yeah, but chances are they'll probably go for the Aidan Pearce and the emotional family story.
But it's a bullshit emotional family story. It's not even like an interesting emotional family story. Like, oh no, someone died. Surprise. It's a classic character backstory.
So what would
Protect
be...
my niece.
Go on then, what would it be? What would be your ultimate video game movie? Like, if you could pick any game to, like, base a movie on.
Too big of a question.
That is quite a
Yeah.
good
Too many
question.
options.
You'd think Uncharted would possibly be... I mean,
Well, that
all
basically
those-
is a film.
Yeah, it's so close that they could do it quite easily, maybe.
Yeah.
I know they tried with Tomb Raider several times and are apparently trying again. But that you could make something out of... You could make something good out of that. They haven't already.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But it's just Indiana Jones that's not as
Yeah, I
good.
guess.
That's the trouble.
British Indiana Jones. With more guns and less whips.
Well,
There's
maybe-
going to be
maybe
something more creative. Like, this is bad. I don't think this would work because the game is perfect and there's no point making it a film or whatever. But, like, if you could do something like Grim Fandango with Pixar quality
The
animation.
thought was in my head, yeah.
Yeah, but make it, like, funny, but also, like, a film noir type thing or whatever. And, like, that could have been a cool... If that wasn't a game, it could have been a cool film. But maybe. Maybe it wouldn't work, I don't know. But at least that's, like, creative and different. Whereas, like, Tomb Raider is just... The problem is that often they are stealing from films, video games, and then it feeds back into a film. It doesn't work so well.
Did you hear that they're trying to do a film about Tetris?
Yes.
I mean, that is interesting just because...
What are they going to do?
Exactly, it's so abstract.
Well, it's
that-
just like asteroids, and that never happened.
Yeah.
Well, no, but Asteroids is way more obvious about what you could do with it.
Well, yes, but it's still like pretty abstract.
Shoot
You only call it it's only obvious what you do with asteroids if you don't really make it anything to do with how the game works. If you make it about literally shooting asteroids and then they break into small ones and then an alien turns up sometimes, that's not going to make much sense.
Doom. Oh, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you could do something with the Mass Effect universe, maybe. Don't know.
Mass Effect would work quite well as a film because that universe, it's one of those things where the Mass Effect universe is diverse enough that you could probably tell any. We've talked about this like when we alluded to what Andromeda might be. You could probably tell any story you wanted to in that universe and make it fit.
And it's strong enough to hold its own again alongside a Star Wars or a Star Trek universe.
You wouldn't necessarily have to follow the story of Shepard and the Reapers or any of that stuff, or you could quite easily just make a series about character interactions and stuff like that. It's like you could do anything. It's a little bit like the Marvel world. You could probably just do whatever you wanted to.
Yeah. The advantage of the Marvel world in terms of making films is there's all these stories that have been done in comics that you can just rip off bits of whatever and plug it together into a different
you can puzzle piece like, oh, let's take this from this story and this from this story, and
whereas the stories in games are kind of only really, I mean, some of them are good, but they're only really there to impact, enable the gameplay, and there's not enough to just pick from, whereas comics, all there is story and some drawings.
Katamari Damacy.
That would even feel be like
the King of all Cosmos just doing a stand-up show for like 90 minutes.
And then destroying the universe accidentally.
Yeah.
That could be a TV show like Adventure Time.
It could be a pretty hilarious comedy. Well,
I don't know.
I say pretty out there comedy.
Yeah, I don't think Katamari is like hilarious. Really, it's more dry in a lot of cases.
But it's still pretty good. It's still pretty funny. Whoever did the translation work on those early ones for the English games, real good.
They could actually make a Final Fantasy film and not make it suck, except they can't.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of that, but you would really have to condense something, wouldn't you? Like, none of the existing games storylines would really work, or would have to be so highly adapted.
I don't know. I mean, some of them
maybe FF10, maybe because that follows quite a traditional arc. Really, and it's actually more. I guess it's a more normal quote story.
Well, I mean, I think 8 could work. You just have to trim out quite a lot of bullshit and skip quite quickly to the amnesia part.
Yeah, and the man with the gun. How do you do the stuff with the other city and the flashbacks, or is that inconsequential? Isn't it?
It's to some extent there's quite a lot of inconsequential stuff in there. So really.
Yeah, it's a good quote. Beyond Good and Evil. That could work. Although it is mostly a game about photography, but it could work.
Right. Enough of that.
So, and then their one surprise, I guess, they ended the show with a lengthy discussion about their extreme winter sports game,
which is
Steep.
Which is an entirely new genre, again, as they like saying about their new shit. And it's really.
Well, sort of. I think it's the first proper open world winter sports game, you could argue. I suppose the Amped series was sort of going that way, but...
Yes, but you can't just call it a new genre because you've mashed two other genres together.
Yeah, because
you've made an open world plus winter sports. That's not that new.
Yeah, I guess.
And also,
it didn't actually look that fun.
Well, it's because it doesn't seem to have any point. Which is what it's just it's a big open world and you can go anywhere and you can do one of these 4 things down the side of a mountain. And it's just you can. And that's it.
Yeah.
What is the point? It's just if I wanted to fly a wingsuit, I'd go and play Just Cause 3. Because it's basically exactly the same thing. You get points for being close to the ground and stuff, like Just Cause 3.
I guess. So no major upsets in the Ubisoft show.
And also, the other thing about that Steep game is they were incredibly casual about people just dying all the time.
Well, yes.
With brutal crunching sound effects.
Yeah, and screams.
Yep.
And it's this guy's in a lot of pain.
And they didn't even mention it slightly.
No, not really.
It's just that guy has now died. Never mind.
There was just quite a lot of it happening.
It was like they'd sort of got the sound mix wrong or something, because the crunch just really stood out.
Reminds me a little bit of Amp 3 had specifically the doctor mode or something, where it's like, break as many bones as you can.
Or it was like the skate games, had their bone murdering simulators. But in that case, it was funny.
So a reasonably well put together show by Ubi. No super embarrassing moments, no awkward, here's a guy who looks like Altair.
They didn't go into the crowd for any reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess they closed on like a celebration of Ubi being 30 years old now as an organisation. So as part of their Ubi 30 celebrations, they're going to be giving away some game free every month until the end of the year.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if it's the same thing as what's currently on Games with Gold, but on Games with Gold at the moment, The Crew is currently free. You know, their open world racer from 2 years ago now? Year and a half ago?
Yep. Mysteriously rubbish.
Yeah. Sort of just
not that mysterious.
Just average. Painfully average. Yeah. So, 30 years of Ubisoft. Could have done with a few more surprises. Could have done with something else, that they were working on, I guess. Everything was it was a bit safe. No new Rayman game, come on.
No. Not even Rabbids.
No Beyond Good and Evil 2 news.
Well, yeah, as usual.
Even though they've filed those trademarks or whatever.
As usual.
Yeah, as
usual. As they keep doing.
Absolutely nothing.
Every time they expire.
Although they did then apparently say later, when asked about Beyond Good and Evil 2, it's like, oh yeah, that's still being made.
Yep.
So, I guess don't give up hope. It may come eventually. May. Right. Hello, Sony.
Sony!
It was a very weird Sony press conference because suddenly Sony seemed to have decided to have no bar graphs or talking. They went from the most bar graphs and talking to absolutely fucking none. Yeah. Nothing but game trailers non-stop. And occasionally a dude would come on stage and say 5 words and then he'd leave again.
Yeah, I mean,
good for them.
It's a slightly weird approach to do it without any talking at all.
Yeah.
That it just went trailer. But it does, I guess, make it a bit more interesting for us.
Maybe they were just trying to cram as much as possible into a TV slot.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like, we've got so many games!
Why have a conference when you could have a YouTube playlist? I know.
Yeah, especially when you haven't got a great deal to actually say.
Because they needed somewhere for Kojima to stand.
Yeah, yeah. To walk, Jesus, down a whole bunch of lit up steps.
And also, they wanted an orchestra, apparently, because that's how you start this.
Which was actually kind of cool.
Kind of.
There was some stuff they did, timed playing 2 trailers.
Yeah, it did seem like it was probably a bit of a hassle.
Well, yeah.
Especially if you're doing the couple that were live gameplay, where it's just how do you time that with actual music?
Yeah, highly rehearsed. But a good show overall. So let's run through it. So they opened with an orchestra of music from... I think that was music from God of War.
Well, you assume so.
With a lady beatboxer at one point.
Well, if you call that beatboxing.
Sort of lady beatboxing, yeah. Because they opened straight away with gameplay demo, which they painstakingly showed you lots of cutaway images of to make you say, yeah, we're actually playing this. This is live. Of the new God of War game, and it seems the rumours by which the rumours of it being based on Norse mythology this time seem founded.
Well founded.
It is.
Well founded.
Well founded, sir. You founded it hard. Yeah, because it sort of is. It sort of seems to be survivally based in the cold wilderness. Cold. And they mix. They're definitely mixing things up this time, so it's not like a Devil May Cry Bayonetta style action game. It seems like way more in your face, like up close and personal, almost Dark Souls-y in its combat. And people seem quite stoked about that, but still keeping its trademark brutality level. It seems not quite so much. We're going to rip the brain out of this Minotaur.
Anyway.
Yeah,
they'll probably get to it.
So we'll see how that goes, but it's way more interesting to me than God of War ever was.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
There's just always been something so bland and sort of just deeply, deeply unappealing about that series. Just nothing about it. Nothing.
Speaking of bland and
not even the push X to sex. Like,
speaking of bland. Here comes another goddamn post-apocalypse game.
Yeah, the third zombie game of the show. Here we have a reveal trailer for a brand new franchise called Days Gone.
Or should you say half a reveal, because they for some reason decided to make this the big thing of the conference, where they had this one at the start and then more of it at the end.
Yeah, it's like they seem quite proud of this.
For some reason.
Yeah. So this was just the trailer.
Yeah, so I guess we can talk about that more later.
The reveal trailer, first of all, and it was... I mean, it looked okay. For a brief moment, I thought Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
For a brief moment. And then it's like, no, this is stylistically going in a very different direction. And those zombies don't look like they've got fungus.
Well, the trick was they didn't really show any zombies in the first video.
No.
So you're like, oh, is this just a post-apocalypse that's just like a normal post-apocalypse?
Yeah, I guess not. Like, has society just collapsed for some other reason?
Yeah. But no, it's fucking zombies.
It's freaking zombies, yeah. So another... not really trailer for Last Guardian. It was more lots of text on screen saying, hey, this took us a really long time.
Yep, it's still taking us more time.
Yeah, but it's the first time it's had a solid release date.
Well, as solid as any release date is.
October 25th this year. Last Guardian is finally happening.
Maybe.
It's actually still not convinced.
They delayed fucking No Man's Sky at the last minute, didn't they? So, there's still at least another 2 or 3 months that they could potentially have to delay this more.
Yeah, I guess. But, it's kind of a big thing. It's still coming. Let's hope it's good. Something about when they actually zoomed in to show you the kid's face or something, where suddenly the aesthetic of that game sort of fell apart for me a bit.
Well, yeah, you don't want to see any of that close up, I don't think.
No. But then what does look good, I mean, like, really, really good.
Yep.
And every time they show more of it, I'm so into it, is Horizon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Horizon Zero Dawn just looks great. Every time they show it. Like, it's got a little bit of that Tomb Raider / Uncharted style, like the characters talking to you and explaining what she needs to do.
Yeah, talking to herself. It's still really annoying.
It's kind of fine. I kind of like it. Like reaction to herself, and then there's that guy, and the conversation with him looked a little bit BioWare-y.
Well, yeah, that conversation was fine. It's all the other talking to yourself. It's just like, why? I mean, you don't. It's a way of not putting like HUD on the screen, I suppose. You're not saying like, well, you're not scanning an enemy and then like a little thing is coming up and saying fire weakness on the scan or whatever. She's saying it to herself in a way that like makes some sense.
As if she read something or something.
Even though she is literally scanning it with a like bio implant that she has apparently. So it's like it's not like she wouldn't have a HUD. Apparently,
I guess.
Yeah, it's a conceit, isn't it? It's quite common these days. I don't mind it.
It just seems... It seems worse when it's a character who's by themselves all the time. It's like Nathan Drake, at least sometimes there's other people in the vicinity that he's occasionally talking to, if not talking to himself by himself.
No, he talks to himself a lot.
Well, yeah, he does, but...
An awful lot.
It leads into talking to other people.
Yeah. But this thing looks cool. Like, you give hints of what the real story is in this. Like, there's some kind of ancient mecha that are corrupting the other mecha, whatever that really actually means.
Well, it's just like there's...
Other than making them rampant, I guess.
Yeah, it's just going to be like, in the ancient human civilization, there was probably just like a virus that was contained somewhere that got out at some point or something.
Yeah. I think the world looks cool. And although it did seem that like you could win most fights by firing the ropes at stuff.
Well, it seems like you could...
Or maybe you had to weaken them and then Pokeball them with the ropes or something.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know if they changed it at some point, but the ropes seem like the enemies do much less to resist the ropes than they used to. Like, as soon as you get one on, they almost stop, even though you technically need 2 or 3 to actually fully stop them.
Maybe. Although that sort of the boss type thing they showed did eventually manage to break them at some point.
Sure.
And,
although that looked more like it was just she did it wrong. It's like you have to attach the bit that can rotate and slice the hole. Tie that up first.
Also, it didn't make a lot of sense, like, where those, like, if you think about where those ropes were being tethered, the robot could just, walk towards them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is one of the problems with that whole thing.
Yeah. They'd probably get, like, tie it down from all angles, really.
Yeah, which doesn't really work when you're in third person close by and not running around them really quickly.
Yeah. But that game looks solid. You can ride things. You can hack wildebeest robots to be your horse. My note here says Red Dead Repair.
Repair. Yeah.
It's the best I could come up with. Yeah, looks cool. So then also, like, while we're in the middle of just jumping trailer to trailer to trailer, here comes some David Cage action, and Detroit was shown a little more. Did it have the subtitle before?
No, I don't
Become
think so.
Human? Is that a new thing?
Yeah.
So that's the Quantic Dream game based off the old Car Attack demo, where androids are going a bit nuts and may have feelings, and some of them are starting to act like humans and
Red light
be a
means
bit
evil.
Yeah, if their little ring on their forehead, on their temple goes red, then they're going a bit nuts.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
It's like an evil meter in the, in the software that corresponds to this particular light.
It's like those, was it Toyota that came up with cars that would change the lighting on them based on how it thought the mood of the driver?
Oh, right. Okay.
Like, if it thought you were driving aggressively, the lights would go red to warn other people that you were driving aggressively.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Rather than to calm you down in that kind of way.
But yeah, they were keen to show off, like, hey, we're no longer doing the illusion of choice thing. We're going to make choices matter, theoretically.
Maybe.
Theoretically, yeah.
We're saying that that's what we're doing, but maybe it'll still be in the loop.
It did seem like there were, I don't know, at least 8 different endings to that scenario.
Sure, but, like, does that matter?
And how big a scenario was that? And yeah, how does it diamond into the whole story? That kind of stuff is a bit unknown, but they're trying, maybe. It could be interesting. It looks quite cool. Style is quite nice. But then I say that about almost all Quantic Dream games, and then you play them. Yeah, there's that. And then, again, somewhat surprise reveal of the new Resident Evil game, which looks a lot like PT.
Because it's in VR, also.
Well, and it's in VR, but yeah, it's like you wandering around a dark and creepy house.
Wow, a horror game again.
Yeah.
Like they were meant to be in the first place.
From first person and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, they're going that way with it, rather than where I guess it ended up in the last 2 installments as basically being shooters.
Yeah. I mean, first person seems pretty obvious for a horror game, right?
Yeah.
Scary. Especially in VR.
It's cool to think that maybe they looked at PT and was all like, okay, this is awesome. Maybe we can use this.
In a different franchise.
Yeah. Well, no, but like it's a different company, right?
Well, yeah.
Like,
That's what I mean.
different
franchise.
But Capcom look at it and just all like, no, we can use this. And PT's no longer a thing, so we can use this and people will be happy.
Or we can basically steal this other company's money by stealing their idea,
Pretty
essentially.
much, yeah. And it's got a release date of January 24th. Next year, so another early next year game on PlayStation, or just in general, actually, just another early next year game. And then everyone realised it's like, oh wait, that PSVR demo called Kitchen, there was a clue all along, because apparently the T was stylised to look like a 7, and everyone thought, It's like, why didn't we see it?
Yes, exactly. Why didn't you see it?
So here comes PSVR segment. October 13th is the official release date this year for PSVR. There will be 50 games at launch with some amount of VR support or full VR support.
Whatever you call the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they then went on to list a whole load of stuff.
Several of which were called experiences.
Yeah, or like add-ons for other games, you can assume. So the one that they launched was something that looked like it was ground up, designed for VR at least, which is Farpoint, some kind of on a planet that looks a bit like Mars, but obviously isn't Mars, survival for FPS.
Yep.
With guns.
Yep.
Not answering the controller question, I guess. Like, is it touch controllers to hold your gun? Or
move controllers.
Sorry, that's what I meant, yeah. Move controllers, but then move controllers don't have the buttons on them to make you move, or do they?
I don't know, but there was another game that definitely had a Wii-style plastic shell that you put around a move controller to make it more like a gun. They've done that before. Not that this game will necessarily do that, but... Sure,
I can't remember if move controllers have like D-pads though, or sticks, so you can move around the world. Like to actually just walk in it.
Well, you're meant to use another half. You're meant to hold like a PlayStation controller in your other hand, right? And just use half of it with the one stick.
Oh, is that what they? Ooh, that's kind of weird.
I think that was what one of the solutions for Move was at some point.
That's a bit weird.
Or you could use two Move controllers. I'm not sure how that would help, but you could.
It seemed okay. I mean, visually, anyway. And, there wasn't a bad trailer. Although everyone seemed a bit over-shocked about seeing things. I don't know, it was like, what the hell is that? Oh!
Well, they probably weren't expecting it. Maybe it is Mars.
Maybe. Well, they didn't seem to know where they were, and, like when their AI scanned it, it's like, nope, I don't know where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a very familiar voice started playing in the darkness. And it didn't take long for me to go, oh, that's the Joker.
You forgot about Battlefront.
Oh, did I? Oh, yes, I did.
But, there wasn't anything to say about that. You fly an X-Wing in VR.
They're doing some
it's
sort
probably a, one mission thing.
Yeah.
Because it's an add-on to Battlefront made by Criterion, apparently.
And it's called... Criterion. And its name is X-Wing VR Mission.
Yeah.
So don't expect much from that.
Single mission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Proof of concept, I guess, is how to treat that. But yeah, so anyway, then they cut to the Joker talking about something, and it's spinning around Batman's mask, and then just said Arkham VR.
What the hell is that?
Don't know.
Well, supposedly it's another VR experience type thing. You start off in Wayne Manor or whatever, and you're sitting at a piano, and Alfred comes in and he says something about something that's happened, a crime of some kind, I guess. And then you push the secret keys on the piano and go into the Batcave.
The forbidden keys.
Then you put your shit on, and then you go to a crime scene and then do some Batman type things.
Okay.
No combat.
Is it the forbidden keys?
You would assume so.
Yep, so there's that. And then the utterly terrible looking Final Fantasy 15 VR experience.
Yep. That's just
basically seemed to turn it into a light gun game. Which wouldn't necessarily going to be a bad thing, except then there's reports coming out of people actually trying to play it and it being god-awful. Like practically non-functional at this point.
It's just like...
There's also like, why?
Well, it's not a light gun game if you're thinking about the actual mechanics of Final Fantasy. I mean, I guess that guy does technically use a gun, but that's just a gun. It just shoots it. It's like...
It seems like what else are you going to do with VR, though, right? You're playing as the character with guns.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, but it's not relevant to the Final Fantasy anything. Yeah, I suppose you could maybe cast magic with your other hand or something. I don't know.
And also, it's
but then you don't need to aim.
Yeah. Also, it's a VR experience, so
Sure.
Not going to be how you're supposed to play that game.
Might even not be a separate product. Might theoretically be built into Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, you'll get a little VR bonus in our game. I suppose isn't too bad when you put it that way. It's like you come in for the real party and we'll give you a little something extra.
Yes, we'll see. because that also seems like something that they might try and release early to build hype for Final Fantasy 15.
So then we went to space.
Yeah, COD space.
Yeah, I got to say, it took me way longer than it should have to peg that was COD.
It took a while, but it was after, like...
We'd already seen the trailers for Space COD, weren't we?
Well, it's because it started entirely in space.
Yeah, we knew they went to space, but it started entirely space, like you being the captain of a ship or something, and then wandering about for a while.
And looking at the tactical map.
Yeah, looking at maps and stuff, and then sort of like it being like... And then there's a sort of seamless sequence where you get into...
A fighter
get launched out of the cockpit, and then have a bit of space combat, and then have to then be part of a breach onto a ship and do kind of all this stuff inside a ship. And at no point did I look at it and during all of that wind up, and even the sort of outer space fight, and be all like, "This looks like a COD game." Dude, like it. The feel is different from that trailer, and it was a real good trailer. It's got to be said. That's like, it has sold me on this idea. It's like, that is probably a single sequence in the game, and it will probably not happen again.
Well, it also doesn't tell you how much of that was like actually being played, especially the space shooting part. That could theoretically have just been an entirely on rails thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you probably don't have that much control at all, but one can hope. But it looked real good.
Also, grappling hook.
Space grappling hook. Yeah.
Sort of necessary.
Yeah. Wasn't there a bit where you were a jet fighter in the last COD or whatever that was on rails?
Well, sort of. It was like, it was half on rails. Like, you still had to fly. You still had to avoid the rocks, otherwise you'd insta-die and have to do the whole sequence again. You know, there was a certain level of you're actually flying this. I'd say there was probably more to it than like Battlefield 3's jet sequence.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't meant to be flying in Battlefield 3, you were the gunner, except it didn't make any sense to be a gunner in a bomber, essentially. Your job was to look at things to shoot them.
Yeah, pretty much. VR experience.
Yep, exactly.
But no, I thought that trailer was real good. Like, it's got me interested in what that game is going to be. More of that, please.
Also, why is it that when you blow open the cockpit to the bridge,
can you hear it?
Well, no, that's not. That's just a game. You always make sound in space because that's how games work. No, it's like, why is it that when you blow open this cockpit to this capital ship and everyone gets sucked out of the ship, why does that also turn the gravity off? Because they climb inside, it's like, okay, let's re-enable the gravity.
Yeah, quite a lot of weird stuff happened when they just took out the bridge, didn't they?
Took out the windows, yeah.
You have to somehow hack the shutters open as well, and
that seemed unnecessary as well, really. I expect if you broke the glass, those shutters probably wouldn't be airtight. I mean, you'd need to get the shutters out of the way in order to get in there, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was cool. It was cool.
They apparently have artificial gravity, so, you know.
Yeah. And is it t-shirt time?
Call of Duty.
Well, not quite. They showed a little bit of COD 4 remastered as well.
Well, yeah.
Not anything new, I guess, because it's an old game. Yeah, but it's like...
Does it look good?
Hey, it looks alright.
Cool.
It looks like the old one did, but with nicer graphics, right? It's one of those things that looks about as good as you remember it. You know, like we got used to modern graphics tech, so you sort of remember COD 4 looking like that, but it clearly didn't. So in that respect, they've done a pretty good job, you could argue. It did remind me like about bits of that game though. Like it's like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, I remember that bit. Stuff like that.
And they showed the nuke because surprise.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just remember going up and down that damn hill of that village. Was it one mission you have to go to the top, and the next mission do you have to fight back down? Do you remember when you're at SAS and it's some village? There's a barn at the end or whatever. And there's this crashed helicopter in the middle or whatever. I just remember spending ages. And it's all vegetation everywhere, and you're getting shot from all over the place, and it's like, go over there, now go to the other one, and now go to the house. It's
yeah, maybe. I'm trying to work out if that was that or one of the Black Opses.
Pretty sure that was COD 4.
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't play Black Ops.
Might have been a similar sequence in one of the Black Ops. Yeah. Yeah. COD. Looks alright. And then Sean Layden got to be all like, hey, I wasn't wearing that t-shirt for nothing, guys.
Well, then they got to basically...
We're doing some deals to get Crash back.
Well, then they basically got to do the same thing that they did for Final Fantasy VII 2 years ago, where everyone got super excited and it turned out to not be what they thought it was, and then everyone was super bummed.
I don't know if everyone... Like, at the time, the crowd seemed still quite happy with the fact that they've got Crash back and he's going to be...
I think that was more because they hadn't realised what he just said.
What?
They started cheering as he was winding up to saying Crash Bandicoot is back, and it's like, and it's a remaster of the original games. It's not anything new.
Yeah, it's basically a complete rewrite of the first 3 games. Not like a remake in the Final Fantasy VII remake sense, but they're making the first 3 games like from the ground up again.
Well, I mean,
they'll be the same games.
In an engine that functions, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was another same situation as Final Fantasy VII 2 years ago when they released the remake of that.
I think the crowd remained happy with that, but it's just kind of like, we're making Crash a little less, little easier on the eyes, and maybe that's all that we ever wanted.
No, what people wanted was a new one, I'm pretty sure.
And it's a step in the right direction, though, because that was a difficult deal to get, right? Because Activision own it.
Yep.
But Sony really want it.
Well... Or do they?
Seems like
they want it sufficiently for a remaster, but do they want it any more than that?
Well, Activision have also agreed to put it in Skylanders.
Yeah, weirdly.
That new Skylanders game where you can apparently just change parts of your thing, and they made it look like you could draw a picture of a hero, and it would...
That's not how that works.
No, it can't be. It looked like it was just bit by bit.
Well, apparently it's not. Apparently it's not even physical like that either, which is disappointing. They could come up with a way to make the model made of 3 parts that you could snap together somehow with magnets or something. It's not.
I guess it'd be tricky for the chip to know what had happened, or maybe expensive.
Well, sure. But it's not. It's just like a crystal, like the previous Trap Team ones, where it's just like a crystal that represents the thing that you captured,
right,
or created in this case.
Yeah. And it's like, it would have been nice to see the remasters as well, but they're like, no, but he's turning up in the Skylanders game. Go, let's watch that instead. No. I think that was the moment everyone was like, oh, we want to see the remasters. But, yeah. And then, a quick trailer for Lego Force Awakens.
Yep.
Which, if you hadn't seen the movie, was...
All spoilers.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen that movie.
A bit spoilery, though, but yeah.
And
actually not enough whimsy in it. It was just replicating the film in Lego.
Well,
I did like...
There was a couple of slapstick moments. But...
I like the Kylo Ren literally having a teenager's bedroom.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That was quite good. And I'm sure there was one moment where something happened in the background and Han was just like, Well, I can't remember what, but there didn't seem to be enough of that. A lot of it was very straight. This is what happened in the film. We're just doing it in Lego animation.
It's because that's what the main part of that is going to be.
Oh, wasn't it the guy with the weird double-ended vibro sword thing?
Oh yeah,
and Han just shoots him.
Yep,
traitor.
Do me Indiana Jones.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure I care. Out end of June. Demo available now, I think they said. And then boom, boom, boom. Here comes Hideo Kojima.
Walking too fast for the graphics, you fool.
Yeah.
Learn your staging.
The light up floor panels below him, he was a little bit ahead. But who cares? It's Kojima entering the stage in grand style. Only for the crowd to go wild for a second and him to go, hey guys, watch my trailer, and then wander off.
Yep.
But hang on. Kojima, how did he get to be such a big deal? Has he always been this big a deal, or is it 5 or Metal Gear Solid 4 or what? When at what point did he become freaking Space Jesus or whatever he is?
I think
now?
it was a pretty big deal with
with one. I guess
yeah.
so, but I don't think we've heard as much about him as we have.
Because at the time he was doing a lot of, wasn't it, narrative experiments, wasn't he? He did. What was his cadet space game or something? Some kind of anime space game that I think had was it Sega CD or something? that was considered like reasonably like forward thinking for the time.
Right.
I don't know if it was any good, but like I think he was trying to push some boundaries and was at least recognised for that. But yeah, I think he's kind of been a big deal since the first Metal Gear, but I don't know if he's hit like mainstream knowledge status till maybe 4.
Right.
I guess I think it's only exploded in a way where you could probably talk to anyone who's played video games and be like Hideo Kojima, and they're like, "Oh right, yeah, that guy, the Metal Gear guy."
But 5 has ramped it up, I guess, and all the drama.
And all definitely all the drama.
And the Silent Hill thing that got canned and all that, I guess.
So, his new game is basically like a big middle finger, isn't it? To Konami, being like, hey, I've still got that actor I wanted to work with. Norman Reedus is still in this thing. And it's real weird.
Well, maybe, this could just be a dumb concept video that's not actually related to whatever he's making.
We did kind of say Norman Reedus in.
It said cast Norman Reedus, and that was it.
Yeah. He's the only guy.
He's the only guy.
Because
he could well be the only guy.
Because it also had like music video credits on the bottom corner, like a music video does for the music.
That music was pretty good. I need to figure out who that was.
Well,
I did make a note of it actually. A band called Low Raw.
But yeah, that's like
did made a note.
I'm not convinced.
I'd done a note.
I'm not convinced that necessarily that is any way representative of the actual thing that he's making, because it could just be a dumb.
Who knows? It's impossible to know.
Yeah, it could be a dream sequence.
Yep, exactly.
But, Death Stranding. That's what was going on in that video.
Apparently.
A lot of Death Stranding. Mass Death Stranding. And then 5 weird things floating in the air that we couldn't really see.
Too small.
Too small. Well, Kojima's back. And he's making weird stuff.
What a surprise.
And a disappearing baby. And appearing baby. And hands. Lots of hands.
Yep, hands.
And butts. Real butts. Insomniac Games. They're busy on stuff. Making the next Spider-Man game.
Yep.
If you were going to give a studio a Spider-Man game, Insomniac might be the guys to do it.
I think it looks like it could be cool.
Given that, if you think Sunset Overdrive, I guess, was an experiment in traversal mechanics.
Exactly. It's all about traversal with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they could do a decent open world. The New York looked pretty nice, I thought. Quite Grand Theft Auto in a way, because not comic-y or whatever, a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I see what I mean about his outfit, though. We didn't mention this on air, but that it's supposed to be like a blend of what people like about the various Spider-Man costumes. It's like, I'm not sure it totally works. Like, I actually don't like the fact that the big spider on the front is white.
Yeah, that's not as good.
No.
But we'll see.
It could actually work.
I don't know who the voice actor is. Is it actually the kid who's in the new movie?
I don't know. I'm not sure it seemed... I'm not convinced.
Didn't sound like him.
No.
Yeah. Oh, well.
They could just be going, different universe, not actually based on...
Yeah.
Tied to the cinematic universe
Might not
or whatever.
Be the MCU, yeah.
Because there's only been one Spider-Man game I think that people actually look on relatively fondly, and that was Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Because they got the swinging mechanic right, apparently.
Relatively.
And then had screwed it up ever since.
Yeah. The classic, web lines into the sky.
Yeah. It probably doesn't make any sense, but it felt alright, so, yeah. So there's that. And then they had to come back to Days Gone to show some gameplay. And that was when we found out...
Zombies.
And
also...
creepy baby things. Like
small zombies.
Small zombies.
And also, apparently shooting them all is supposedly a good idea.
Yeah,
even though that makes no fucking sense.
It seems like they die pretty easily. Then maybe it's like more of a disease than a full-on zombification kind of deal in this.
But his plan seems to be, I'll run away and slow them down by putting tiny obstacles in the way while unloading clips upon clips of assault rifle ammo.
Yeah, he had a lot of clips on him.
Seems like a perfect plan for a post-apocalypse where ammo is scarce.
Yeah. He had a lot of clips on him.
And then once he killed them all, it turned out he hadn't killed them all, and there was even more! So then what are you going to do? Shoot some more? Set fire to the whole place.
Set the building on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Also, why are all those zombies there?
Yeah, why are there so many of them?
Why were there fucking hundreds of people hanging around at a middle of the forest sawmill during the apocalypse?
Was there like a rave going on nearby?
Could be.
Hot lumberjack rave. Yeah.
Yep, clearly.
So it's a zombie game. I don't care.
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think I can care.
I think they were trying to make people impressed by how many zombies there were and how they all animated individually, except it's a
there were quite a lot,
point.
and they did seem to be a certain amount of hey, we can climb over the dumb zombies that have just walked into the obstacle or whatever, and then the rest of them climb over the others. That looked kind of cool,
but it's that's not actually that impressive, really. It's been done.
I guess we've had hordes for a while, right?
We've had hordes of things for quite a while.
Like Dead Rising. Since Dead Rising, has that really been that impressive a thing? But, yeah. I don't know. That thing's got to work hard to prove itself. So what was missing? No Shenmue news.
Nope.
Nothing happening on that front.
Nope.
Give it a couple more years. Honestly, I guess. They've barely been in development when we heard about it last year, so give it a couple more years. I'm okay with that.
Did they kickstart it then?
Yeah, I think it was basically Sony. It was one of those classic things where Sony were definitely involved right from the start.
Yeah.
Then once it got kickstarted and made the money target, Sony are basically bankrolling the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be what's going on. One of those, you need to prove yourself. Mm-hmm. We'll help you see if you can prove yourself. And if you do, we'll pay for this. Mm-hmm. So that seems to be what's going on. Other news. They didn't show any Gravity Rush 2, which they talked about, I think, maybe Gamescom last year, or Paris Games Week, very briefly. And those that have played it on the show floor say, this is actually really very good. They probably should have showed it. Because the first Gravity Rush game, because it was on Vita, I guess, didn't really get the audience that a lot of people seem to think it deserved. That it was a solid game that just mistargeted, I guess, in where it came out. There's no reason why it couldn't have come out on PS3. So, but good news that this one's coming to PS4 then.
Yeah.
So, let's hope for that. That's all I've really got on the Sony front, unless there was anything out of show that happened afterwards. So,
no,
I think they basically covered everything that's going on in the conference without too many surprises elsewhere.
Yep.
I mean, they already came out and said we're not talking Neo, so they didn't say anything about Neo.
Well, they didn't say anything about that wasn't a game.
Yeah.
They barely even mentioned the VR.
I feel like they had a stronger showing than Microsoft this year, because they suffered a little bit less from sequelitis. A little bit less. They still had a lot of sequels.
Yep.
Or reboots or whatever, but they had Horizon, they had all this VR stuff. They had Detroit, they had good-looking COD. Yeah, I know it's a sequel, but a good-looking COD. Kojima and Insomniac and a whole load of new stuff. Which, again, they've done for the last few years, really. They've come out and been like, hey, new stuff, guys.
And, most importantly, they didn't show No Man's Sky.
They didn't show No Man's Sky, no. They did the right thing there. Well, it sounds like they... Okay, so, spoiler alert, I guess. No, for later on. No Red Dead Redemption 2 news was announced during E3. Rockstar didn't say a thing. And then, after the Sony conference didn't have anything, a load of rumours sort of started flying around that Rockstar were going to show during the Sony presser.
Right.
But pulled out at the last minute.
Right.
To which the Sony executives piped up real quick and said, No. We've had this planned to play out like this for a long time.
Yeah.
For months, that was the phrase they said. So I don't think Rockstar ever planned to show anything.
God damn, they managed to hype it up regardless.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I really wanted to see apart from Zelda.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame that it wasn't there. But that also explains why No Man's Sky wasn't mentioned. Like, because I guess months ago, if this was all true, that this had all been planned months ago,
then it would have already been out.
Yeah, they would have assumed it would already be out and didn't need to talk about it, because they didn't talk about Uncharted 4 and stuff, because that's already out, right?
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
That would have been out for a little longer.
Yeah.
I mean, No Man's Sky wouldn't have technically been out. It theoretically wouldn't have come out until tomorrow, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
21st? Wait, is that 2 days away?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense that they would leave it out. But it's a good thing that they did.
Yep.
It's good. We don't need to see any more of that. Everyone knows enough.
Oh, well. Not that they actually don't.
Well, no, but that's the point. The game is figuring that out in some capacity. In some capacity. I guess the reviews and stuff will shed light on what's going on. Yeah. So, did you want to go to Ninty next?
Yep.
Oh, mate.
Which fortunately wasn't a...
We might need you to carry on with notes. My phone is about to die.
Well, I don't really have any more notes. All I wrote was Nintendo, and then I wrote Zelda and Pokemon, and that was it.
Yeah. So Zelda comes across. They showed a lot of Zelda.
Yeah.
As they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
So they showed a lot of Zelda. It's open world. We got that much.
Yep.
And it's somewhat surprising just how open world
They've gone all
it
in.
is. Yeah, it tropes and all, which I'm not 100% sure I'm totally happy about. Like, it feels a little bit like a copycat to that regard. Like, I'm going to get some apples, and I'm going to collect resources, and I'm going to chop down trees and steal the neatly bundled piles of wood.
I mean, I prefer that to every enemy spouting out rupees or whatever. That was stupid.
I guess.
Like, this
Yeah.
this makes more sense.
Well, they did have, like, monster guts in
Horns.
Link Between Worlds and horns. And,
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they're moving in that direction already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think the climbing thing is an interesting
The
mechanic.
climbing thing is a bit...
Like, just that they've yeah, Link can climb.
I mean, that's cool, but it makes it, like, a bit tempting to do a whole Assassin's Creed, climb everything, climb the towers to
But I guess that's why they put
Yeah.
the, stamina meter on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can climb within reason.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean they couldn't make towers that are designed to have, spots to rest on at the limits of how far you can climb within
Sure.
one stamina bar.
And it did seem like they were encouraging you to climb down as well as up. So don't just jump off this, climb down it.
Oh, right.
But why would you do that if there's water?
If there's
always
water,
jump directly into the water.
Yeah, of course.
Or you have the leaf thing,
Yeah, or you just glide.
glide, yeah.
Or
I
you
quite
just
like
wait for
the-
the fall at the last possible second, as you do.
There was some crazy combo thing where you jump, there's the grass is, you set the grass on fire and then you jump into the updraft from the flames or something
that's cool.
with the gliding thing, and it pulls you up, and then you pull your bow out and shoot the thing in the face or whatever in
Seems
midair.
highly
It slows down.
unnecessary.
And it's it's comboing of bunch of stuff together. Other games do that, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's got the fire.
The trouble is,
from I guess Far Cry,
Yeah.
and I don't know,
the trouble is, it's
environmental stuff.
you're never going to. You're 90% of the time you're not going to do that. Not necessarily because it's difficult, which also might seem like it might be the case because it's a lot of setup.
Probably,
But it's 90% of the time you're not going to do it because you just won't see it. Like that bit in the demo where they show you you could roll a boulder down the hill to kill enemies.
yeah.
If you didn't happen to happen across those enemies from that one specific direction where you see the boulder and you see the hill and you see how perfectly it's lined up, you're never going to think to hang on a minute before I go and run in here and just stab these enemies. Let me look around for a minute to see if there's any conveniently perched boulders.
But if anyone's gonna somehow design the level or the approach to the way in such a way that you will notice, it's the designers of Zelda.
But it's an
freaking
open
dungeons.
world.
Yeah.
They can't guarantee where you're going to come from.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll think of something. I'm sure.
Yeah, did they show anything in the guise of temples?
Well,
like dungeony type zones.
So there's full dungeons, and then there are like mini dungeons or shrines,
which are basically like the equivalent of those holes.
Yeah, the
that you used to
the puzzle rooms and stuff like that. I guess.
Yeah,
mysterious floor holes underneath boulders.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah. The holes. Yeah, which makes sense, I think, in a big open world.
So it both looks like a Zelda game and sort of doesn't. Which
it's kind of cool.
Real interesting. But
I think it looks good. I like the world. I mean, it doesn't look as amazing because they don't have the horsepower
to
do something. But I think
they get around it by stylising it.
Yeah, because it's like Wind Waker had a great look that worked perfectly for that game, but it was very cel-shaded-y. And then they went a bit sort of towards the kind of Studio Ghibli kind of look with Skyward Sword. They went a bit too far and it looked a bit weird and saccharine.
Perhaps a bit too posterized. Sort of a little too.
And this looks nice, I think.
Yeah, it does look nice,
especially the kind of grass. And I really liked that at the end of the trailer, the kind of title card was just there was no music. It was just like the sounds of the world and the wind.
It's because the subtitles is wind. So, they were going to have the wind.
It's not wind, though. It's Breath of the Wild.
Well, the wild
is breath is
same,
Breath is wind.
Yes, breath is wind, and it's the breath of the wild, so you're going to hear the wild for a minute.
The breath of the wild is kind of wind.
But I like that focus on the sound design of the open world. Yeah. That's clever.
Sounded neat.
I like the kind of the little bands of enemies that you come across or whatever, and then...
Well, you like that now, but that might,
That might get annoying over time.
Whereas it's like, oh look, here's another 3 random dudes coming around a random campfire randomly spread across the world.
Depends what they do with it, how much variety there is in that.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't know if I would call myself hyped for it, but it's exciting to see them go in a different direction.
I think, I think so.
Because that doesn't happen very often with Ninty, does it?
No, I mean, what's interesting is that they're not usually there first or whatever with this sort of thing. But usually, if they just try something, they make it work.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess Mario 64 was.
No, that's a bad example because they were trying something first there and getting it perfectly right the first time, which is ludicrous.
Were they first, or were games like I suppose Bug and Croc and stuff might have predated?
I don't think they did. I think they pretty much got there first.
Bug definitely predates. But that was very grid-based.
Right, yeah.
With sort of 3D platforming.
Sonic 3D.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Mario 64 was the weird one in the history of games where it went totally different.
Everything came together first time.
And it was pretty much perfect. And there still isn't a better camera. Which is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. That's past the stage. They can't do that again, really, with anything, I don't think. But yeah, I'm excited for a kind of Skyrim-y Zelda.
Skyrimmed sword.
Yeah.
It does seem weird that there are, somehow in this Nintendo game, they might almost be going more survivally than most games do, because it's you have to eat food to regain health. What?
And you have to wear the right clothes according to the temperature of the region, so if you're not wearing a jumper in the cold regions, you lose health.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
But also, you can, snowboard on your shield down a hill, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Using apparently a really complicated set of key presses.
Wow.
Where it's you have to have the shield, then you have to start sprinting, then you have to jump, then you have to press a special button, which for some reason is you put the shield underneath you while you're in mid-jump, sprinting.
Yeah. At least it's not a motion control, or a tap here on
tilt the controller forward to make him put the shield under.
You don't necessarily know that it's not going to be, though. Because apparently the touch screen at the moment is it only ever shows the inventory.
Yeah,
and that seems like a bit of a waste, kind of.
Maybe, but at least you could play the whole game with a Pro Controller and not a touchscreen if you want.
Sure, except it does look... I don't know, it seems suspiciously like they might be trying to integrate the touchscreen into the world in some ways, because you
literally have an iPad, yeah. The Sheik Slate or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough.
That's a weird conceit, but yeah, sure.
You do have a gravity gun thing, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, magnets.
But, you've got to have some kind of weird puzzle thing. So,
Well, you've got to have some random tool that happens to...
yeah,
They've got to have new puzzle mechanics, more importantly.
Yeah.
yeah. They often do have new puzzle mechanics, don't they? Like in, obviously, the Link Between Worlds, you go into the walls and stuff.
Even that, I wouldn't call one of the more...
Well, that's not even like what we're talking about, really. Because, like, the magnet grapple thing is, like... It's a Zelda item, whereas in the Link Between Worlds, it's like this was a weird overarching
theme,
like skill.
I guess.
Yeah, it's almost not that important to like solving the dungeons, solving the bulk of the puzzles.
Sometimes
it's like it's basically just getting around.
Well, there's a few that are like involved, like this doing it on sand pillars and frozen rock pillars and stuff, building your own paths.
Sort of. But that's not what the portals don't involve that, right?
No.
Like the sand pillars and stuff, they were new mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a combination.
Yeah. And the whole in and out of the wall itself was the big new mechanic. Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
I want to play it. I
Yeah.
have to get an NX.
Yes. Whatever that ends up
Whatever
being.
it is. And whether this looks any better on NX, probably not, but...
I bet not. No.
Yeah.
Well,
You never know.
it might get a
Might
resolution boost.
Yeah, might run a bit better.
Yeah. Not that it looked like it was running badly.
No, but, I don't think it was a 60, 1080 job.
No, definitely not. So what else did I pick up on? Shrooms and physics, part of the game, foliage fires. We covered some combat disarming mechanics.
Yeah.
Bayonetta-style time dodging.
Yeah, it has... I think we've known that, but it has the time slowdown.
Perfect dodge kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Wind
Which
Waker's
time?
dodge.
Oh, did Wind Waker have that?
We had the A dodge, where
Yeah.
if you hit A as the enemy was attacking you, when your sword lights up, you basically do a counter attack, but then there's other options to like combo it essentially.
Horse taming.
Yeah.
Bees. There's bees and cooking.
Ducks.
There's some ducks, yeah.
Very important.
And I did note that, boy, these treehouse feeds, though, they need better microphones.
Yeah.
And a lot of floor noise.
Right.
Wasn't that pleasant to watch them.
They could have found a quieter place on the floor, apparently, because
Yeah,
there was a
maybe.
lot of space.
There's a lot of space, yeah. Some of the back of the convention halls looked very, very empty indeed.
It's not what it once was, is it?
No.
I think we'll have to see what happens to E3, because it's all about the press conferences. They don't need the show.
I guess now EA and EA pulled out big time, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's like now they've gone, and Take-Two were, despite saying that they were going to be there in a big way, kind of weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So that was Ninty basically. I didn't really pick up on they did some Sun and Moon Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
Fine.
I guess it
Yeah.
turns out that it probably isn't any kind of grid based. It's like there wasn't conclusive proof, but then in this demo there pretty much was. They showed it definitely not running on a grid at all.
Okay. Gone full freeform.
And they showed now when you're about to walk in front of an enemy trainer, you get like black shading comes in from the top of the screen to show you're about to walk into their line of sight. It's like, oh shit!
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Well, this could...
Which I guess is sort of just a way to make it more obvious now that you're not on a grid. Because before you could actually see the squares. It's only these squares I need to.
Yeah, that's true. This could be the one in terms of Pokemon games.
It's just another thing.
And combat looked the same though, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't change that too much, can you? Pokemon.
I don't know.
We could still make it look better.
Well, they're getting there. They do get there. It may always seem like a generation behind where you think it should be, but somehow they do always make improvements every time.
Well, I don't know. This one doesn't feel like so much of an improvement because it's not I guess this is the second one of this engine, I guess you'd call it. It's like you had Diamond and Pearl and then Black and White 2. That was basically those three on the same engine, which was the slightly 3D engine, where occasionally the camera will go slightly 3D and show you some 3D models in this otherwise sprite-based world. So now you've got this engine where it's like, now it's properly 3D, and now it's not on a grid, but this is still basically the same engine.
As X and Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe in like 2 more games' time, we'll actually get something new.
I don't really know what else Ninty were really showing. I mean, they showed another trailer for Colour Splash, I guess. But you brought up Ever Oasis.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, and supposedly Ninty made new RPG that looks like a cross between Crystal Chronicles and Zelda. Co-op Zelda. Not that co-op Zelda's ever worked out for them, really, in the past. No. But maybe a bit of Crystal Chronicles to the action might.
Well, and I'm not entirely convinced it actually is co-op, going to be co-op. Because they say it's single player and you switch between the different characters in order to use their abilities. Not that you can have different people be the different characters necessarily.
No, I see.
And it's on 3DS, so, there's definitely ways it could be multiplayer, but it's not the most convenient.
I guess, yeah. Can't really think of a great deal else of interest for Ninty. So
they said it wasn't going to be.
No,
it wasn't.
As expected, I guess, from them. And a very quick rundown of what happened at the PC Gaming Show, because this wasn't all that interesting. I didn't actually watch this one, I just caught up on it later, what had happened. Dawn of War 3 had a trailer. A bit like Dawn of War. Ark were talking about their new Redwood Zone
talking
again.
about that dinosaur.
Yeah, and the dinosaur. Giant Cop is apparently a 3R game. VR game coming relatively soon. We play an oversized policeman, effectively. Great. Mountain Blade is getting a sequel called Mountain Blade 2. Siege.
I feel like it already had a sequel.
Yeah, I thought maybe
it was just like a subtitle sequel.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe this is like a. They can know this is the real sequel, guys.
This is an actual sequel, not a subtitle.
Yeah. Killing Floor is getting a special VR game called Incursion. Don't care. Super Hot, though, getting a VR mode. That seems like a no-brainer.
Well, I guess.
Super
because
hot.
It's a first-person game.
Super hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, that might be quite fun. Because you move, but the thing is, how would you move? I mean, you'd still feel... I guess you could stop at any time.
Yeah.
That's the idea, and time would stop, so...
And just casually whip around and be all like, you don't have to do anything fast, do you?
No. Although time does still move, just very slowly. Could work.
Yeah, that seems sensible. And then there was a game called Tyranny. I can't really remember what that was. I think I remember the premise more than what it was, in that it seems like you were working for the bad guy who wanted like ultimate power or something in this scenario, and that guy won. So the world is under your control, and it's like, now what do you do with it? And you're sort of a management guy, I think, trying to do stuff with that. I think. I don't know. I can't really remember. Didn't look terribly interesting, but, the premise is at least that kind of you're the bad guy thing, that dungeon keeper overlord sort of thing. Except you've already won. And it's like, here's how you deal with it. I don't know. That's a little unusual. Observer? I can't really remember what that was either. Might not news.
Yeah.
Armour 3 is getting an expansion, although my note here does say explansion. And then there was Turing Test that looks to be a sort of heavily Talos Principle inspired puzzler. Overland? Shrug. Don't know.
It's very helpful these days.
Yeah, I know. I wrote down all the games that I saw, like, thinking I'd remember what they were, but actually, weirdly, all of these I just have no memory of at all. And Dual Universe, that I think is a adventure game, like sort of puzzle adventure game. There we go.
Yep.
PC. I don't think any of those will change the world.
No.
Other E3 stuff. What have we got? Oh yeah, Colour Splash. That apparently that's got an October release date this year on Wii U. Should have mentioned that in the Ninty stuff. And I remembered that there's this game called Dreadnought that I think I mentioned maybe a year and a half ago. That having not really a presence, but they were starting to show stuff. I don't know if you remember, but it was this a multiplayer. Very like not rapid pace, but you basically control giant spaceships, and like it's more about the tactics, I guess, of maneuvering these throughout a battlefield and being able to use your ship's capabilities to your advantage to take out an enemy team of dreadnoughts and stuff like that. And it actually looked kind of interesting, a very different sort of take on PvP games, made by Jaeger, the guys behind Jaeger and Spec Ops: The Line. And I just sort of I don't know, I sort of thought of it, saying, we still haven't seen anything about this. What's going on? So I went and checked in. They're apparently still working on it, and it's apparently coming out this year. So I may be the one guy that's keeping an eye on that.
Watch out for Dreadnought.
Watch out for Dreadnought. It could be real interesting. It's sort of unique. Maybe not that unique. I mean, you're still controlling maybe it's got that bit of a Guns of Icarus vibe about it, except you're controlling the whole dreadnought. You don't need a crew on it.
Right.
You're not just a dude running around on it, but that it may have similar strategy.
That reminds me, in completely unrelated news, Space Pirates and Zombies 2 still happening.
Still coming.
Still maybe eventually happening. I think it's actually maybe going to be a beta shortly.
Okay.
The game actually might exist. It just reminded me of it because it seems like in that game the ships seem to be modular now. Like you can just pick up other parts of ships and just connect them to your main body, so you can just expand your ship by just picking up literal chunks of other ships.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, classic space weird shooter.
What was that game where you picked up parts of your downed enemies?
Yeah, there's been several, but you're thinking of that weird polygon one.
Yeah, the side scroller
where it looked like some sort of a toy box,
almost,
of just flat shaded polygons.
And you suck in your parts to,
and you just collect giant chunks to you that had ridiculous amounts of bullets going out of them in all directions.
Yeah,
sometimes in completely useless directions.
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm thinking of. Not a great deal of news outside of E3.
Nope.
Other than Overwatch patch news.
It happened.
It happened. McCree got nerfed, so his Fan the Hammer attack is about half as powerful as it used to be, which is quite a severe nerf.
It's how much damage does it do now?
Well, they did put up straight numbers. How the maximum damage each shot can do, and it is pretty much half. And they've also modified Widowmaker, so headshots are much more of a requirement now than they used to be. I say much more. They've reduced body shot damage by 30%, but then boosted headshot damage. So you got to get those headshots.
They boosted headshot damage.
They boosted headshot, yeah.
It just means then it's going to die even easier.
And they made her ultimate take 10% longer to charge.
Well, I mean...
Her ultimate wasn't really
Yeah, it wasn't powerful, it was useful.
It's incredibly useful, yeah, but it still relies on your team doing something with it.
Yeah, doing anything at all.
And it can give you a heads up on when someone's about to poke their head around a corner, so you can just snipe them immediately.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening in Overwatch right now. And final bit of interesting, I guess, news is what you'd call this, is some stories have come out about what was going on at Lionhead and why Fabled Legends turned out to be what it was. And it seems to be, of course, a bit of an internal struggle between what Lionhead wanted to do and what Microsoft wanted them to do.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of Lionhead basically just wanted to carry on and make Fable 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep things going. But a guy called Phil Harrison, who was vice president of the European Games Development
I remember
for
him.
Xbox, basically said he wanted more service-based games. Can you guys make Fable into that? Which they thought was nuts, because it's like, we've got no experience in how to make games like this.
Mm-hmm.
Experimented for several years with it before they landed on the concept that Fable Legends was going to be. And then by the time they were ramping up this sort of idea, it's like, and they'd trained guys up and actually had staffed to the point where they kind of knew what they were doing, things started falling apart. In that this service-based game that Phil Harrison wanted flew in the face of what Phil Spencer was after,
Right.
which was, we want some AAA games.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of putting out a free-to-play service-based multiplayer game with AAA production standards became the single most risky venture, really, in gaming. Like you think about that, it's like, that is a massive, massive gamble. And it didn't even get to the part where they played. Microsoft just pulled the plug because it was taking too long and cost too much.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus quotes. Here we go. During the project, a lot of the devs had a problem with the moving goalposts of the project, and that Universal Windows platform at the time was described as on fire internally.
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, I think everyone knew that when it eventually landed. It's like, yep, this thing is not working. And both Halo 5 and Minecraft didn't meet their projected revenues for last year. So they didn't do as well as Microsoft wanted them to, which may have also forced their hand to close a strong studio. So there you go. That's pretty much all the interesting news I've pulled outside of E3. Just those 2 points. And one of them was kind of just shoved in my face because it's like, hey, Overwatch players, this patch has happened.
So that's E3 inside and out.
Inside and out, yeah. I'm sure there was more stuff going on the show floor.
Yep.
I'm sure Sega had some stuff.
Well, maybe.
Probably not new stuff. I don't know, who knows? Maybe Total War Warhammer again, but maybe some stuff for that, even though that's out now. I don't know. There's probably some floor stuff we missed, but we can do that on next cast. Sure. We can catch up and wait for the dust to settle.
So what are we most excited about, Zeg?
Well,
number one.
Not much anything about this E3.
It
was quite... I mean, there's a few surprises, but no real bombs, were there? It was kind of a boring year.
It's the only things I'm theoretically excited about would be, Zelda, but the only thing I do for that is I'd have to get an NX.
Yeah.
So even considering the fact that I'd have to buy a system at that point, that also adds a whole extra delay to it, because it's not like I'm going to be able to get that as soon as it comes out.
Yeah,
that's true.
Going to have to wait for the NX version.
Yeah, for me, Zelda's the one.
That's March next year, though, right? And then didn't they say it's going to be a simultaneous launch?
Yeah.
I don't think they said it any time during E3, but I think they may have said that before E3. Yeah.
And then the only other thing that looked good that I thought looked good was Horizon, but that's PS4, so that's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
No help there at all. It's not even Microsoft. I couldn't even get that on PC.
No, you couldn't even go to Windows 10 route if you got Windows 10.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the one.
Horizon looks great.
Okay.
Horizon really does look great, but like I said, I was massively impressed with how COD looked.
COD, yeah.
But then Roll will have to buy a PS4.
Well, that's going to happen when Neo comes out. I will get a PS4. Because I've been saying that for a long time. The plan was always wait for Uncharted, and then all the Neo news came out, and it's wait for that out.
For me, apart from Zelda, I'm much more excited to play games that are already out, like Uncharted 4, Overwatch, and XCOM, than I are anything at all at E3, apart from Zelda.
Well, I'm over the last month, I feel like I've just been on hold waiting for things to happen. Not just like there was Mirror's Edge, obviously, and then there was No Man's Sky getting delayed. But it's just like, even all the other games that I usually play, I feel like I'm waiting for things to happen in, like, so there's, like, the Factorio patch still hasn't happened, that's got 2 more weeks on it.
Yeah.
There's, like, what is it, Space Engineers, I'm waiting for, there's going to be a patch where they're going to basically implement a proper sound engine in space, which, you know, you wouldn't have thought that'd be important, but it's like a real sound engine. Like, if you're standing on a thing while the gun is firing, you hear it through the vibrations.
Nice.
And then, like, if you're on a planet with atmosphere, you have a different, like, muffling to the sound whether you've got your visor closed or not. It's like, that's cool. So I'm waiting for that.
That's pretty neat.
Waiting for that in Space Engineers. And then it's like, waiting for patches in other games. It's like, I'm just waiting. Just waiting for things to happen. I wish they'd fucking hurry up and do it.
You want that Starbound patch?
And Starbound, of course, yeah, that's due to come out within a month, probably.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm not sure I'm super hype for anything, really. Anything that's going to come out this year.
Well, yeah, especially.
The thing is, we've got such good games at the moment.
Yeah.
Like playing MGS5, it's like nothing there, except maybe Zelda, has much of a chance of being a better game than Metal Gear Solid 5. I mean, that was like so long in development, and it's crazy. It's like one of a kind thing.
And it's not even finished.
Exactly. Yeah,
there's we haven't mentioned Scalebound here. I'm quite... Scalebound is ticking my boxes right now.
Yeah.
In that it looks like it's got an interesting combat system. It's got that love it or hate it attitude factor, which may be awesome, may be terrible. Which I'll probably think is awesome either way. Even if it is actually terrible, I'd probably dig the terribleness. I'm getting that feeling. And, dragons. And again, I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure one of the Panzer Dragoon designers, like character and art designers and stuff, is working on this. And it looks, or at least it's heavily inspired by.
Yeah.
It looks good. I want to see that game. I have to wait till next year. And maybe play it on Windows 10.
Well, that's the other problem for me, is like, I can't even get excited about the things that are coming to Windows 10 because I'm not going to have Windows 10 either.
Yeah, you will.
Why don't you? Because
I refuse.
The time is now.
If you're going to
get Windows 10, you've got to do it now.
I refuse to get Windows 10 on this old computer. If I was going to get Windows 10, it would be on a new machine, and that's not going to happen for at least 1 to 2 more years.
Well, there you are then.
Clone your hard drive. And just do it, because Windows 10 doesn't run any slower.
What happens if your PC just packs up from being run 24/7 for 5 years?
Then it will have been 5 years, and then it'll be time to get a new one.
Oh, right, sorry. How long's it been? 3 years?
I don't know. I've forgotten when I last got that thing.
It's been a while now.
Probably been at least 4.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It will last 7. Just like the last one did.
My one's lasted 7. As it turns out, it will be hitting 7.
I mean, this one
the end of this year.
This current computer seems a lot less likely to die than the last one did towards the end. This one seems to be running just as well as it did originally, apart from the occasional mysterious, like, why doesn't the RAM properly unload?
Right, yeah, that thing.
But that's not really a problem. It's just like you just restart.
Yeah, and it could be Windows.
Yeah,
just having a wobbly. Have you ever you haven't clean installed your machine in like 7 years either, have you?
Well, I never clean installed it. Haven't had to, ever.
No. Well, I haven't done mine either. Mine's never clean installed for all of that time, and it's done pretty well. Maybe the sort of Windows curse is less of a thing these days.
I think it is less of a thing.
I think it's still a thing.
Yeah, it still is a thing, but it's less of a thing.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's a little, like, depressing, isn't it? You've come out of E3 and you're sort of all like, well, what am I really looking forward to? I mean,
Dead Redemption 2, goddamn.
Yeah.
Freaking show it.
Absolutely. And there is still Cuphead. Let's not forget about Cuphead.
That's not going to be as good as you hope, though.
No, probably not.
Because it's basically a Mega Man game. And it's not like we particularly like those. Oh, well, not to say we dislike them, it's like we never cared about them.
I never had them.
Yes.
I never had them in the NES days. I've since never been that fussed. Yeah, a bit bummed there was no Beyond Good and Evil 2, but that's the same thing every year. And probably will be for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that it's there's been a lot of surprise announcements last year. Maybe Beyond Good and Evil 2 will be the feel-good announcement this year. Nope. Still no. I guess Quake. It might be on my radar. Actually, the more I think about it, the more actually what I'm interested in right now are games that didn't show at E3 at all. Is Formula Fusion going to be good? Is Grip going to be good?
I'll just play more Dirt Rally. Games that are out are better than games that are going to be out.
Yeah, maybe.
At the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really want another Forza Horizon game. I was quite happy with 2. I don't think I'm in the space where I want another one yet.
I mean, the good thing about 3 is it's on PC.
Yeah.
I'd probably play 2 if that was on PC.
Yeah,
I'm
just not sure I'm in the space for most of those sequels. Most of Microsoft's lineup, I'm sort of looking at going, I'm not sure I'm really had enough time to want one of those again yet. Which is a bit of a bummer because I normally quite, I'm a softie in my console preference generally, but when this lineup comes out for Sony, it's going to be hard to argue for. Really. Maybe Scorpio will turn it around. Maybe.
Scorpio.
But then maybe I don't need a Scorpio.
You'll have a freaking awesome PC by then, so you won't have to worry.
But I might have to pay exorbitant digital costs for games.
Yep. Quite probably.
It's not like console games are cheap.
No, but like I said earlier, you can sort of wait for disc versions of games to come down in price. So, unless they, and then if you buy the disc version, you don't get the digital benefit of having transferring or whatever.
I mean,
cloud syncing of saves and all that stuff.
Eventually, consoles will move past discs as well. PCs basically have.
Sure, but then we're at the moment we'd be stuck with the over expensive digital stores if they stay as they are.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is no good. Which is no good. I think that's E3. That's E3. I think I'm running out of things to get hype and not hype about.
Mostly not hype.
Mostly not hype, yeah.
Thanks for joining us regardless, listeners. I think there were some interesting things there, so it's worth a recap.
Console cycle got weird, yo.
It certainly did. That was the strangest part. So we'll catch you for further what we've actually been playing the next time.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time, back to normal.
Back to normal on the Saladcast.
Whoop whoop.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Stop.